By the way, if you have watched my last video, it was filmed on the same day. I just put the shirt over top so I look a bit different, but I don't know if it looks weird or not because you can see my t-shirt underneath, but the content is the most important thing, and it's about 2020 books that I'm going to read in 2022. So this year is the first time I'm going to have a solid TBR. I put 2020 books because it's 2022. Also because I think it's going to be the solid amount to have a clear goal, but at the same time flexible enough for me to add in other books that I found interest in along the way. My goal for 2022 is to read at least 50 books. Last year my goal was very low. Started with 1 book a month and then 2 books a month, rounded it up to 25. I ended up reading 48 books, which is kind of annoying because I was like 2 books away from 50, but I started off last year a bit weaker. I didn't have the same passion and obsession about reading as now, so I feel like 50 a year is going to be a bit more achievable in 2022. So all of the books that I put in my TBR are mainly the books that I already own but haven't been able to read, but there are also a couple upcoming releases or just books that I've heard great things about but haven't owned. And in terms of the genre itself, it's also quite broad, so I feel like I have a great mixture of a lot of different things in my list. So the first book on my TBR is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. It's been on my TBR since the first time I know about this book, which is years and years ago. I first heard about this book and Madeline Miller in general, I think around 2019. It was the time I bought Circe, and then I did some research, discovered The Song of Achilles. People said this book is way better than Circe, but it took me a while to finish Circe. DNF did in 2019 because I wasn't really in the mood for it. It's a bit harder for me to comprehend. If you cannot guess, English is not my first language. I mean, I can understand them, but there are a lot of difficult words that I personally don't understand. But in 2021, I was really in the mood for reading. Finally decided to read that book and I liked it. It's not my favorite book, but I can still appreciate Madeline Miller's writing. It's beautiful, the story is intriguing, and the fact that it's a Greek mythology is one of the charm because I love Greek mythology even though I don't really know much about it. So I think it's time for me to read The Song of Achilles, especially since in 2021 this song really blew up all over again. It's been getting a lot of praise over the years, but in 2021 Book Talk made this book really went viral, and I've heard nothing but amazing thing about this book. It's supposed to be really sad. It's a retelling of Iliad about Achilles and Patroclus, but through Patroclus' perspective, which is very interesting. I know the general idea of the story, but I don't know the details, so I'm excited to find out, and I cannot wait to get my heart wrecked because from what I've heard, the ending is very sad. Next is Piranesi by Susanna Clark. This is one of the books that every time you watch a review, people cannot really tell what they're about. You are supposed to go into the book with as little detail as possible because you want to be shocked by the story, I think, but the general idea that I can gather is it's about this person who got stuck in this never-ending building with lots and lots of walls or rooms and statues or something. I don't really know what the plot is going to be about, but I've heard nothing but incredible things, not only about the story but also the writing style. This book got a lot of praise and awards as well, I think, and this book sounds so mysterious to me that got me intrigued. But honestly, one of the main things that attract me to this book is the cover. You know, Circe, Piranesi, the maidens have a very similar vibe. This kind of cover just pulled me into the book immediately. Like, give me this kind of cover and I want to read the book, even though I know nothing about it. So yeah. Next is one of my most anticipated releases, mainly because I love the first book so much. It's one of my favorite books from 2021. It has a lot of sentimental values. It's Crescent City Book 2, House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. It will be released in around February or March, I believe. The first book kind of ends in a little bit of mystery, like I cannot wait to find out what's going to happen. The first book has been lingers on my head for months and I need a release. I need the second book immediately. I've been waiting for this since the very last sentence of the first book. Super excited that we finally will get the second book, and I really love the cover. It has the same vibe of the first book but in blue because it's House of Sky and Breath. We have Hunt Athalar this time, and I love him. Hopefully the second one will be as good, if not better than the first one. Another book that I've heard nothing but incredible things about is The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. Most people who have read this book gave it 5 stars. From what I've heard, it's supposed to be like, it's not sad emotional, but more like wholesome emotional, I think. I don't really know much about the plot, but I think it's about a social worker who are supposed to go to this place filled with kids who are deemed dangerous because they have some special abilities or something. Correct me if I'm wrong. I put it in my 2021 TBR, but this book arrived very late. I bought it from Book Depository. A lot of drama going on. Not Book Depository's fault, but with my local post office, and it took like 6 months to arrive. By the time they arrive, I already have a lot of books that I really want to read in November and December. So you know what, I'm just going to put it in my 2022 TBR. I cannot wait. I also really want to read the newest release from TJ Klune, which is Under the Whispering Door or something, but I haven't owned that book. So 2 books for 1. I want to read that book as well. Next is The Invisible Life of Adela Rue by V. Schwab. Another book that a lot of people love. There are a couple of people that I've watched on YouTube that didn't really like this book, but hopefully I will be included in the category of people who love it because the premise of the story sounds incredible. It's about someone who lives a very long life, kind of immortal, but people seem to forget about her as soon as she's out of the room. Yes, she's immortal, but she cannot really have any relationship with anyone, which is sad. I think it will be yet another emotional book, but I'm super excited to find out. The premise of the story sounds beautiful, magical, and incredible. It sounds like The Age of Adeline. I don't know if you have watched that movie with Blake Lively in it. I like that movie a lot, so hopefully I will like this book as well. Next is not necessarily a book, but more author that I really want to check out in 2022. I want to read as much of Colleen Hoover's book as possible because I've heard nothing but incredible things about her and her romance books. I love romance books, and she's like one of the staple author to read in terms of romance genres. Yeah, I think I'm going to read It Ends With Us first, and maybe Faraday. I know it's not necessarily romance, it's more like thriller, if I'm not mistaken, but that sounds very interesting and a lot of people love that book as well. I also want to check out her upcoming release. I think it will be out in a week or so, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I just want to understand the hype, guys. So I have a couple of series that I'm going to mention in this TBR, but I'm just going to count one series as one book instead of the amount of books that they have in a series. So yeah, in terms of the amount of books, I'm pretty sure this is not 22 books, more like 40 or something. But the first series I want to check out is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. A lot of people love this series as well. I think it's supposed to be a trilogy. 2 books already out. The second one is The Houghton Legacy, which I already bought but haven't arrived yet. I'm just waiting for the second book to arrive because I want to read them back to back. It's, I think, full of mystery. It's about an inheritance of a very rich family that didn't go to the family itself. A stranger out of nowhere get the whole inheritance, I believe. I think that's the main plot. It's supposed to be full of twists and turns, the kind of book that I love. I was interested again because of the cover. I thought the cover of the first book is incredible and the second one as well. And then I found out what the book is about. I've heard amazing things from people. So yeah, I'm going to read this series in 2022. Hopefully. Next is another upcoming release from Emily Henry called Book Lovers. I've read Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation in 2021, and it's one of my favorite books. I love her writing style. I love the way she writes the characters. The story is amazing. It's emotional. It's complex. It's just a very lovely romance book. So when I heard that she will have another book out, I immediately felt so much excitement. And this book is also has something to do with books. In Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation, we also deal with book and writers, journalists, and something like that. I love that she stays consistent with the book thing. I don't really know what the story is about. All I know is that she has another book out, and I'm super excited because I don't think she can let me down. Hopefully it won't. The next one is another 2 books, not series, but it's books from Casey McQuiston that I haven't read. I've read One Last Stop in 2021 and I love it so much. I think it's a very unique romance stories, but I haven't read Red, White and Royal Blue, and that book is like way more famous than One Last Stop. It's like a must read in romance. It's supposed to be better than One Last Stop, and One Last Stop is already so good. It's also another unique love story about a prince from UK and a son of the president of United States who actually hate each other but supposed to get along. So for publicity they are having this fake friendship, but it turns into romance. So it's kind of like from hate to love kind of story, and mix that with the whole royal vibe. Sounds very promising. Cannot wait to read that. But she also have another book in 2022 called I Kissed Shara Wheeler, or Shara Wheeler. I don't really know what this book is about, but I fell in love with the cover and I think the story will be amazing. Just like Emily Henry, if those two books are great, I feel like her upcoming release will also be great, if not better. On number 10 is another upcoming release called Bloodmark. It's the second book from Legendborn series by Tracy Dion. I love Legendborn. It's one of my favorite in 2021. It's a mixture of King Arthur's retelling, Demon Hunter, Secret Society, Dark Academia, set in a university while tackling a lot of important issues that are very relevant to today's society. It's just a very solid, amazing fantasy books with interesting magical system. So I'm super excited to find out what's going to happen in the second book, especially the romance. If you've read Legendborn, you know what I mean. Next is the last book from Scythe trilogy. I've read the first two books from the trilogy, Scythe and Thunderhead, in 2021, but I haven't been able to read The Toll, which is the finale of the trilogy. It's a sci-fi. I love the first two, but it's also a little bit heavy in terms of the topic. It's not fun at all, in my opinion. Can be a little bit boring at times. It's a bit philosophical. I don't know if you can call it that, but after I finished Thunderhead, I wasn't really in the mood to read the third one, especially because it's like twice thicker than the first two books. So I really need to gather some energy and have to be in the right perfect mood for it so I can enjoy and finish the series with a bang. So yeah, I cannot wait to find out what's happened because Thunderhead kind of ends in a cliffhanger notes. Next is another writer that I really want to check out, which is Sally Rooney. It's a bit polarizing because her writing style and her books is not really for everyone. It's more like character driven instead of plot driven. I don't know if I'm going to like that. I feel like I'm more of a plot driven book kind of person, but I also heard amazing things about her writing styles. It's supposed to be beautiful and amazing, so I just really want to check her books out and see for myself if I like her writing or not. But also Taylor Swift loves her books and I love Taylor Swift. A couple of songs from Evermore were kind of inspired by one of her books, and Evermore is like one of my favorite album ever, so I feel like I should read that book. In 13 and 14 is Ninth House and The Grishaverse by Lee Bardugo. I know, I'm probably the last person on YouTube who haven't read any books from the Shadow and Bone trilogy and all the Grishaverse, but first, Ninth House. It's a Dark Academia book. I don't really know what it is about, but again, the cover and the fact that it's Dark Academia intrigued me, so it's on my TBR. And next, The Grishaverse. I wanted to read the book before I watched the TV series, so originally it's on my 2021 TBR, but it's like 7 books at this point. I was never really in the mood for it because the thought of having to read 7 books kind of overwhelmed me, but I'm gonna make it a mission to finally start the series and get into all the hype in 2022 because I really want to watch the TV series, but I won't be watching that until at least I've read the Six of Crows duology. Next is another series, but this time it's more like mystery thrillery books. It's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is like one of the staple must-read YA mystery books, and I haven't read them. I've read One of Us is Lying and One of Us is Next in 2021, and I also love watching Pretty Liars. One of my favorite series ever is Sherlock, so I know I love mysteries. So in 2022, I want to read more mystery books because I truly enjoy them. It's one of the best genre in my opinion. If it's done well, it keeps you guessing. You won't be able to put the book down. You just want to flip the pages until you find out what happened. And I've heard a lot of great things about this series. In particular, there's already 3 books out. I don't know if it's trilogy or there's another book coming out, but I think it is a trilogy. I already bought the second and third book. I'm currently ordering the first book, so once the first one arrives, I'm going to read all three. Another series that I really want to read is the Caravel series by Stephanie Garber. I've heard incredible things about this one, but it wasn't really enough to make me want to read the series. I don't know why, but she has another book a couple months ago called Once Upon a Broken Heart. While it is not part of the series, it will reveal a lot of the plot from the Caravel series, especially the ending. So I thought, if I want to read that book, might as well just read the Caravel series first. It won't hurt because that series is supposed to be amazing. So another series that I need to read in 2022. It's a lot of series, I know, a lot of books. I kind of feel overwhelmed now. Next, another series. Oh my god. Why do I make this so hard for myself? I don't know why, but this next one I think is going to be easier to go through because it's a middle grade series. It's the Nevermore series. I've heard incredible things, not just from people who enjoy middle grade, but from everyone in general. It's supposed to be magical and wholesome. It's supposed to give you a similar feeling and vibe as Harry Potter, and that alone already intrigued me because I love Harry Potter. I'm not going to promote the writer, but I love Harry Potter movies and books. It's a comfort story for me. Every time I feel down, stressed out, or just not in a good mood, reading Harry Potter or watching Harry Potter movies will always lift up my mood and makes me feel better. So if I can find even an ounce of similarity from different series, I will seek for it, and I think I will get that from Nevermore series because everyone said amazing things about this series. And I think there's supposed to be the fourth book coming out in either 2022 or maybe early 2023, I don't know, but super excited. I will be ordering that, especially since the cover is purple, and hopefully I will enjoy the book, but I have a hunch that I will be. Oh my god, another series. I don't know why I put so many series in my TBR, but I do have a lot of series in my bookshelves that I haven't read. Yeah, but this next one is another mystery. It's truly devious series. There are 3 books in the trilogy, and then there's another 4th one. They are not necessarily part of the series, but it's about the same characters. I already have all 4 books in my bookshelf, so cannot wait to get into it. It's also one of the main mystery series that people talked about. It's about a college student who loves to solve mysteries. I don't know if this person is a detective or not. Kind of gave me a Detective Conan vibe, but in his high school form, not his elementary school form, which super exciting because I love Detective Conan. Excited to find out what the hype is all about. This book is one of the staple for Dark Academia. I think this is one of like the OG Dark Academia books that you have to read. It's The Secret Society by Donna Tartt. I don't really know what the story is about, but I've seen this book everywhere, and you cannot say you love Dark Academia if you haven't read this book. So you know, I feel like it's a given. I should read this book. I already have a copy of it, but I have the UK paperback, which is kind of sucks. That's the only option available in my local bookstore at the time. As soon as I bought it, they have the US paperback with that iconic cover. But yeah, the most important thing is the story. Next is just books from Erin Morgenstern, Starless Sea or Night Circus or both. I don't know. I don't have any of the books yet. This is like one of the books people are either really love it or just don't get it and not like it at all. I think it's also kind of similar to Sally Rooney's. It's quite polarizing because it's not for everyone, not necessarily because the book or the writing is bad. Both of them have beautiful, incredible writings, but it's more like character driven instead of plot driven. So of course that's not really for everyone, but I still really want to check it out because every single YouTuber that I love and have a similar taste as me love the books, so hopefully I will be too. Next is yet another series, but this time it's a romance series, so I feel like it's more realistic and attainable. It's the Brown Sister series. Each book are about different Brown sisters. The first one I think is about Chloe Brown, the second one is about Danny Brown, and the third one is about Eve Brown or Evie Brown, and it's supposed to get better and better. The first one, people like it. The second one is better. The third one, people love it. It's also full of smart from what I've heard, quite steamy, romantic, funny as well. It sounds like really right up my alley. Okay, the last one, finally, the 22nd on my list, but not the 22nd books. And I don't have any specific book in mind. It's just a classic book. Like I said, English is not my first language, so I never read any classic books. When I was in school, I basically never read any classic books in general at all. So I really want to change that. The sound of classic books scared me, but at the same time, I really want to challenge myself and my English ability to read a classic book, at least start from the easier one. I won't be reading like Shakespeare or something. One of my favorite YouTuber, Morgan Long, really loved Jane Austen's books. She has read every single book from Jane Austen, and that really made me want to read one of her books as well. So maybe one of Jane Austen books. I don't know if it's going to be Emma or Pride and Prejudice. I still don't know what book specifically, but I just know I want to read a classic book, possibly from Jane Austen. So yeah, those are 22 books, or 22 books, you know, because most of them are series and have like 3 to 5, 7 books. I know that's not 22 books, but those are technically 22 things that I want to read in 2022. It's a very long list. I don't know if I'm going to be able to achieve that, but at least now that I have a TBR, hopefully I will hold myself accountable and actually read the books I have in my bookshelves that I haven't read. Please let me know which books in your TBR. Leave your TBR down below. Let's discuss. Also, if you want to give me recommendations, you're very welcome to do so. Give me more books that I need to check out. And lastly, thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this video. If you do, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I hope I can see you in my next video. Bye guys.